Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of the Celtics Chronicle with me, your boy, Adam Taylor. The Celtics signed Mitchell Robinson a few hours ago, 3 years, full non-taxpayer MLE. And I thought who's better to bring on than to get a good idea of what Mitch is going to bring to this team and what we can expect, what we're going to like, what we're going to hate, than the one and only Jonathan Macri from Knicks Film School. John, man, how's it been?
It's been good. I mean, obviously, as you guys know from the not too distant past, fun being defending NBA champions. Still in the early stages of summer, where all that's sinking in and getting to enjoy that. But I think Knicks fans. I speak for a lot of them when I say we were kind of hoping that the band would be back together. Obviously, it became pretty clear over the last, I would say, week to 10 days that was very likely not going to be the case. And I guess I'll probably pay you guys the ultimate compliment, which is that I think a lot of Knicks fans had come to a place of accepting the fact that Mitchell Robinson was not going to be on the team next year. What makes this hurt a lot is that we lost him to you guys. And, I know there's a lot of stuff is happening in the East, and there's different conversations about maybe who is the top, who are the top teams, who are the top competitors to the Knicks to repeat as Eastern Conference champions. As many Knicks fans hate me for saying, I always have a whole lot of respect for the Boston Celtics. So both from the perspective of losing a key piece to perhaps your biggest rival, it hurts. And then just also there's whatever there is, 60 some odd years of history between these two teams and a long-standing rivalry. So yeah, to see Mitchell Robinson wearing Celtics green will hurt a little bit extra for sure.
Oh, dude, you're talking to a guy that just watched Marcus Smart wear Lakers colors for a season. So I feel it, man. I do.
There
And
you go.
And look, the just before we get into it, the championship for you guys, how's that hangover treating you?
Oh, you know what? It hasn't even been a hangover because it hasn't even really sunk in for me yet. Like I've said this a few times. Like I just been very busy, both for like content reasons and also just like kids are home from school and the whole
Yeah.
thing. So I haven't even gotten a chance to like do some stuff that I want to do, which is like sit and like watch all the post game press conferences after game 5. I'll do all that at some point and I'll revel in it a little bit more. But it's been great, man. It's been awesome. It's like waited a long time for this, and it's been every bit as enjoyable as I probably imagined it would be.
Dude, man, I'm happy for you. I'm jealous. I'm hating it every minute of it, but I'm like for you specifically and for like all the Knicks film school guys that I've done work with you before. I've been on podcasts with Andrew. Like, I'm happy for you guys.
Thank you.
Now we've done the niceties. We need to get into the brass tacks a bit.
Yes.
47.4 million over 3 years. Boston are hard capped at the first apron. That's more than what the Knicks were probably, well, from everything I've read, that's more than what they would have given up, what they were capable of giving up. First things first, did the Celtics overpay? Which I
Um,
mean, it's a reasonable contract. I can't see how they did.
in a vacuum, which is to say, putting aside the self-imposed mandate by the Knicks owner, and this was an ownership-driven decision, maybe somewhat in concert with the front office, maybe not, depends on who you believe. But like, the Knicks owner came out on the radio, whatever it was, a week and a half ago, and said we're not going into the second apron. Putting that part of it aside, in a vacuum, is 3 years at the full mid level with a player option on the third year in overpay from Mitchell Robinson. I think that answer is somewhat context dependent. And here's what I mean by that. I think what we learned this year with a full season of Mitchell Robinson under the Knicks, I could say this because they have won whatever the award is the NBA gives for this sort of thing, award-winning medical staff, and which entailed no back-to-backs. There was never like a specific minutes limit, so to speak. Mitch played. There were some games this year we played in the high 20s, over 25. I'll look it up. You probably count them on one hand. I don't know however many it was, but like they treated him basically like a sub 20-minute a game player in the league. There's that context, and a guy you're going into the year saying 82 games and like will be. So your starting line is not 82 games, assuming the Celtics also continue with the plan, and they may not. If they don't, that would actually worry me more as a Celtics fan if the Celtics were like, you know what, we're going to run Mitchell Robinson out there second nights back to back. We're going to be fine with it. If they continue treating him with kid gloves, your ceiling is like probably 20 to 25 minutes a night, 65 games. And then that's not even factoring in other injuries. So I'm kind of dancing around it. Is it too much money? No, I don't think it is if you have the right situation. He was in the right situation for the Knicks, where he was definitively a backup, but also a guy who could, because of Towns' shooting, could play alongside Karl Anthony Towns. He's a guy obviously capable of stepping into a starting role for them if and when, Towns to miss games, and Towns misses games from time to time. Um, and he's comfortable with that role. He could do a little bit more. Vital part of your team. You need 48 minutes of center play, the whole thing, defending NBA champion. So, like, yeah, I would have been cool if they had paid that to him. I would have been very cool with it. For the Celtics, but for a lot of other teams, I'm like, yeah, but who else is going to have that specific situation where it really makes sense? And that brings me to the Celtics, who have like a really nice center in Amos Keita, who maybe I'm not going to get into like how much he was actually exposed, quote unquote, in the playoffs. Like, you guys have talked a lot about that, but like probably not someone you felt 1,000% confident being like, yes, we are going to win a championship with Amos Keita as our main center guy, like moving forward. So you're like, okay, but Amos Keita is also good. And like, he's on a cheap contract, this and that, but like, we probably only want to play him 20 minutes a game, 25 minutes a game. Guess what? Now you can. Now you can play him exactly what he probably deserves to be playing. You give Mitch 20 to 25 minutes a night. And here's the other big part of it. And I kind of realized this as I was doing my own live stream. Like, he was never going to start for the Knicks. I don't know what they're going to do, but if you want to avoid the strategy that your coach, I'm not going to say he invented it, but like popularized, of the Hackimich thing, if you want to avoid that, which at this point would be the biggest Achilles heel of Mitchell Robinson, well, just start him. And then you play him to start the game. You take him out midway through the first quarter. You put him back out there to start the second quarter. All of a sudden, it's like, great, I'm playing him just the beginning of every first, second, third, and fourth quarter. And then maybe the last 2 minutes of a half, last 2 minutes of a game, after you get past the potential for the Haka situation. That checks a lot of boxes all of a sudden. I think it's a nice situation. I did for a second when I went, because I started to think about the Celtics as a possibility much earlier today. And I was like, yeah, but the Celtics are so freaking careful with their money. Are they really going full taxpayer, or even at the time I was thinking maybe a portion of the because you guys had the big trade exception, like maybe even bigger than that, and use the part of the trade exception. Would they really do that on a guy with like Mitch's injury history and like the fact that for all he's great at, and we could talk about that, like he is an imperfect player. He's a highly imperfect player. Like there are things that you're just not going to do with Mitchell Robinson. He's not going to be a part of your offense in certain ways that you would ideally probably like. To say nothing about defense, like he's awesome on defense, but like, he's not the best switch guy in the world. Like, as you guys know, you guys are taking advantage of that from time to time. All this is to say, I was like, the Celtics really going to spend, but guess what bonus you got out of it? You got to take away a vital component of perhaps your biggest rival. So, very long answer. I apologize for going on and on. As you can tell, I talk for a living. If I'm you guys, do I feel good about the contract? I do. Is it on the higher end of what you feel good about? Sure. But I would feel good.
See, I'm feeling good about it. The injuries concern me. There's certain aspects of his play that I want to get round to asking you about. But I feel like the number one question here for me, having not followed Mitch closely enough where I can reel off where the injuries have came from, what type of injuries he's had, is it one injury that's recurring where it's a long-standing issue, or is it just he's one of these guys that picks them up?
No, so let me try to be as succinct as possible here. This past season, there was not a major injury for Mitchell Robinson up until, and I don't know how much you want to get into this, the eve of the finals, when I will use the word mysteriously because we still don't know how he broke his hand. And he had what is typically known as a boxer's fracture, which you typically get by punching something. That was never, as of right now, I have no idea how he broke it. There was some footage going around of some plays from game 4 against the Cavs where he appeared to injure his hand and like shake his hand, where it just looked like he was shaking his pinky. And then ahead of the finals, Mike Brown was asked, like, did Mitchell Robinson hurt his hand in a game? And Mike Brown was like, no, he did not hurt it. Like, unequivocally, it was like, he did not hurt his hand in a game. he's also that gets into the category of like Mitch is a quirky guy and he likes to like fish and go chase snakes, but I guess that's neither here nor there. So there was no basketball injury that took place this year. Last year he played in 17 games, but that was directly related to an injury he suffered when Joel Embiid grabbed his leg in midair in the middle of the Knicks first round playoff series in 2024 and pulled him down. And like Mitch played a couple more games in that playoffs, but he was never right. And they eventually shut him down in the middle of the Pacers series. And then that injury and rehabbing from that injury kept him out the whole of 2024-25. And then if you want to just go back one more year when he played only 31 games, I think that one was, it was a foot, something like a lower leg injury that he suffered in December. And again, from what I recall, it was not like a re-injury or something that was like had been like a chronic problem. And the 2 years before that, he played 59 and 72 games. So like, I do think that there is all that said, I think you need to handle him with kid gloves. I do not think this is a player that you want to risk going like playing for, if you go into overtime or something and you wind up playing him 30 plus minutes in a game, he needs to sit the next game. Like you do not want to screw around with that. We even saw in the playoffs, like, I don't know how closely you were paying attention, but there was a game where one of the finals games where Cat got into early foul trouble and Mitch is out there and he's running around and Ariel Hukporti needed to come in. Once a Nick, always a Nick, Ariel Hukporti. And like before the end of the first quarter, because Mitch was gassed. And that's the other part of it is conditioning is it's not bad, but like he's just not someone that you're going to trust to go out there for like an entire quarter, for instance. So you have to just be very careful when it comes to this player, which is again for me would be the only real trepidation I have. But like, I mean, it's a 3-year deal. I understand the player option is a little scary, but like, look, you guys are in a good financial position. You swallowed your medicine last year, and now you can kind of reset.
That's kind of where I'm at with the money side of things. Is it's also a tradable contract, so if things don't work out, you can always pull him into a deal. Maybe you put 2 for 1 or whatever you need to do to kind
fits
of
it to the mid level.
Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect. One of the other questions I've got though is you talk about being an imperfect player and not getting everything you want out of him. And I'm working on like a scouting report now for the Celtics Chronicle newsletter. Links in the description. Make sure you go and see that. Check that out. Shameless plug. One of the only things that I'm kind of really concerned about right now, outside of the injuries, and look, we can touch on free throw shooting, but that is what it is at this point.
Well, there's nothing much to say.
It's not
getting any better. I mean, he shot in the playoffs this year. He shot, where is it? 29%.
To be fair, Brad Stevens said he wanted more dunks. He didn't say he wanted more free throw shooting. So we're okay there. One of the concerns I've got is the Celtics like to lean on their non-shooting bigs on the perimeter a bunch. So it's lots of screens, lots of screen into another screen, and a lot of movement-based stuff, right? Niemi was actually better than advertised in that area because he's not, I'd like to call him plodding. He's not a heavy-footed plodding big. He's quite nimble. Mitch, on the other hand, from the footage I've watched of his screening, it's a clear weakness in his overall game.
So I want to give Mitch this. Jalen Brunson, who's a decent ball player, got to a place of beyond comfort. I'll put it this way. We had these conversations a lot last year, really during the playoffs last year and throughout a lot parts of this season, where it wasn't even like something that was like a subtle thing. Jalen Brunson was just much more comfortable playing with Mitchell Robinson than he was with Karl-Anthony Towns. And it seemed like he accessed all of the tools of his own personal offensive game when he was playing with Mitch, as opposed to when he was playing with Karl-Anthony Towns, which if you look at the skill set of both players, you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Cat could do all these different things. And then the Knicks kind of rejected their offense in the playoffs, and they had one of the great postseason runs in the history of the sport. And part of that was about Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns learning how to play with each other in a way they previously had. That's not of interest to your listeners. What I will say about Mitch, is he the best screen setter in the world? No. But for Brunson, it was like Brunson knew how to work with Mitch. And like Brunson took what Mitch did, even when he didn't always like land the screen, like Brunson knew how to work with that. Now, look, Brunson is a very unique ball player and he made it work for him. Will everybody make it work for them? I don't know. As far as the other stuff, the Knicks, this is part of why, because, look, playoff defenses have time to game plan and scout for you, the whole thing. One of the things that the Knicks they just were never great at in this playoff run was when it would be Mitch on the short roll. And part of that is on Brunson. He's a shorter player, and passing over the top is not always accessible for him, and all that. But like, you're also at the whim of like Mitch catching a ball and cleanly catching a ball and quickly reading the situation. Like, so that's not a huge strength. And then, yeah, he could execute a dribble handoff on the perimeter, but like, you're not going to ask him to do much more than like take a dribble and like, and then hand it right back off. Like, you're like, again, I want to give credit where credit is due. Mike Brown wants his centers to play a certain way, and he asked Mitchell Robinson to give more than certainly Tom Thibodeau ever asked him to give. And for the most part, Mitch did that, and he did it well enough throughout the entire season. And so, like, it's not like he's completely inept or anything, but just you have to be prepared for the fact that it is a limited toolbox.
Yeah, you've got to meet him where he's at a certain point and try and figure it out as a unit. That's been my only concern so far from what I'm watching in the film is the Celtics like their non-shooting bigs to play a very specific way, and I feel like you're better off asking Mitch to set a very loose screen and get into the paint as quickly as possible because his presence is going to create opportunities that way rather than doing it the way you've done it for the last 2 years. And look, the Celtics, the way they did it last season worked in the regular season, and then it just didn't work anymore. So having a different option is never a bad thing when you're trying to figure out what the identity of your team's going to be. I like Mitch. I think that the rebounding is going to be great offensively. I think that's an area where the Celtics really like to maximize their possessions, and you're going to have lived through that. The only other kind of question I've got for you is online, he seems like one of the most peculiar but fun, but weird, but strange, but entertaining guys in the world. Locker room fit wise, and the Knicks are there now,
Yeah.
right? The Knicks are the championship team. They've got championship mentality, and he's moving to Boston. That's very much like a success driven locker room. Is he going to be able to mesh well with the guys?
Mitch, so one thing really quick. You mentioned the offensive rebounding. I would feel like it's a disservice to your listeners and I'm sure, again, a lot of people, obviously everybody at this point, an NBA fan knows Mitchell Robinson's a really good offensive rebounder. I don't know that anyone could possibly be prepared for how good of an offensive rebounder Mitchell Robinson is until they see him night in and night out. The way I've phrased it is like he's one of the very few players in the NBA that you just can't. There's no game plan. You really just can't game plan for it. He can come in and just wreck everything you want to do as an opposing team because you just can't keep the freaking guy off the glass. And so I'll miss Mitch as a person. I'll miss Mitch on defense, where again he's a very good defensive player. Like whatever quibbles aside about his switchability or this or that, I'll miss all that stuff. I'll miss the lobs. Like, I don't know who your best lob thrower is on the team, but that person better get ready. I'll miss all that. His offensive rebounding,
100%, by the way.
Well, then they'll connect a lot. They'll connect a lot because that's one thing he's really good at. I'll miss all that. It is the offensive rebounding that is just, an ace the Knicks always had up their sleeve. And it has won them playoff series, including against you guys. So get that out of the way. The personality, quirky is a good way to put it. Mitchell Robinson is beloved, not only by the fan base, but within the locker room. You can't not like Mitch, can't not love Mitch. He'll fit in like great. I understand if you want to go like find some of his tweets or posts or whatever that talk about like imply like he's feeling disrespected or this or that. No one ever took any of that seriously. It's after a few years, it was just like, it's just Mitch being Mitch. He says he's a kid. He's 20 whatever, but he's like 20 whatever going on like 18. The one thing I will say, and again, I don't want to get too far into this because I always feel queasy about talking about somebody else's mental health, but like Mitch did have a post like a month or so ago, whatever, I forget exactly when it was. I think it was during the playoffs, may have been just before the playoffs, where he implied like he was getting off social media for a while because he needed to get like his mental health right. And I didn't, it was never a worry to me, but that, that is something that he said. I don't know. Like he's very online, seems like it. So, but in terms of like locker room, nah, man, Mitch, like best example I can give you this real quick. Him and Isaiah Hartenstein, I was supposed to say Isaiah Thomas, Isaiah Hartenstein were ostensibly rivals. Like I know they were on the same team together, but like they were both, they both wanted to be starters. They both wanted minutes. They both wanted opportunity, the whole thing. And they brought Hartenstein in when Mitch was already there. And those guys ended up becoming probably the best friends, the best two friends that the Knicks had in the locker room. And there was a real brotherhood there. And like Mitch was more disappointed than anyone when Isaiah left for OKC. And that just tells you everything you need to know about what Mitch is about. And also just like when you go out there and you give 110% every time you're on the court, like what teammate isn't going to love you? And like also just teammates love good players. And like knowing that you have Mitchell Robinson on your team, that's such again, because like it doesn't matter what you try to do against him. Like he's going to have his way, with opposing teams on the glass and in other ways. So I think he's going to fit in great there. And I'm just really disappointed that he's not a Knick anymore. It's the main thing that I could offer. I'm really going to miss him, and I wish him the best of luck, but yeah, it's going to be tough.
You see, I think that's the best thing that a Celtics fan can hear, though. If you're genuinely sad that he's gone, then that means we're going to be genuinely happy that we've got him. And look, you guys beat us in the last time we met in the postseason. You're champions now, so if we can get a little win over you one way or another, I'm going to take it, man. I'm going to take it. Everybody, man, make sure you go and show John some love. He doesn't really need me to introduce anything he's doing because he's basically superhuman at this point. But go check out Knicks Film School. Go check out, what's the other one you've got? It's NBA Breakdown.
NBA Takedown. Yeah, we actually, it's been such a crazy week. I need to do a larger free agency recap for, I don't know when that's going to happen though, because there's just more and more news coming out. But yeah, Knicks Film School, if anybody else wants to go listen to people talk about the Knicks, or if you want to read about them. And I'm anticipating we will see you guys to open the 26-27 NBA season. I mean, I wasn't sure that it was going to be Boston before this, but this to me solidifies that it's going to be Knicks Celtics on opening night.
And look, the Celtics could look really different depending on what happens with Jaylen Brown. So it's either going to be a good game or it's going to be a game where Celtics fans just want to get it over and done with. We've all been there. It happens. It ebbs and flows. John, I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Appreciate you as always, Adam. Good talking to you.